Welcome everyone to today's explainer. We are diving into a massive, and I mean literally game-changing shift happening right now in the global chip war. Specifically, we're looking at the evolution of European tech dominance. If you thought the battle for technological supremacy was just about who could build the absolute biggest, most advanced physical machines, well, the rules of the game have completely changed. We are rapidly moving from a war over physical infrastructure to a fierce battle over digital intelligence. And just to make sure we have a rock-solid, authoritative foundation for today's analysis, it is important to note upfront that this entire explainer is based on a fantastic Management Pro entry written by Willem Scheepers. His breakdown of this shifting landscape really gives us the perfect lens to understand what is actually happening behind all those flashy headlines. So let's set the stage. Brainport Eindhoven, with ASML acting as its massive strategic anchor, has long been Europe's high-tech crown jewel. But here's the thing, it's no longer just a really successful industrial cluster. It has basically morphed into a massive geopolitical pressure point. Imagine a high-tech chessboard. The ultimate question right now is whether this region is going to act as a pawn, just getting moved around by global superpowers, or if it can become a strategic pivot, fully capable of shaping its own destiny. To really grasp this massive shift from hardware to intelligence, we are going to walk through 6 quick strategic steps today. We'll start with Brainport's next big test, look at a brand new packaging choke point, define this crucial idea of AI-Access Sovereignty, map out 3 distinct future scenarios, look at the resulting barbell labor market, and finally, answer that big question, pawn or strategic pivot. Okay, let's jump right into Section 1, Brainport's next strategic test. So the core tension right now is this massive clash of paradigms. The old paradigm, it was all about pure hardware dominance, literally just building the physical lithography machines. But there's a new paradox emerging that's kind of wild. ASML is projecting major long-term growth toward 2030, and that's heavily driven by this explosive, unbelievable demand for AI. Yet at the exact same time, they are announcing job reductions and streamlining their organization. You might be wondering, why on earth would they do that? Well, it's because the AI economy demands explosive growth at the very top of the value chain, but it creates this intense pressure to simplify, automate, and just strip out layers everywhere else. Brainport isn't just universally growing anymore. Actually, scratch that. It's entering a highly selective phase of growth. Moving right along to Section 2, the packaging choke point. For the longest time, the focus in the chip world was almost entirely on shrinking the features on a chip. Smaller. But with these incredibly energy-hungry AI data centers, high bandwidth memory, and chiplets, the real value is increasingly coming from connecting these chips faster, denser, and way more efficiently. Enter BASI, another major Dutch semiconductor equipment company. Because of their innovative hybrid bonding technology, they represent a whole new critical choke point. Think about it like this. If ASML is the lithographic heart of the global chip system, BASI is the absolutely critical connection layer that actually allows AI hardware to scale up. The Netherlands doesn't just have one strategic choke point anymore, guys. It has several. Which perfectly sets up Section 3, defining AI-Access Sovereignty. So, what exactly is AI-Access Sovereignty? Basically, it's the degree to which a region can rely on stable, trusted, and politically resilient access to advanced AI capabilities. And to be clear, we are not just talking about fun little chatbots here. We are talking about the hardcore systems required for software engineering, cyber defense, advanced chip design, and high-level industrial decision-making. A semiconductor ecosystem today isn't just physical clean rooms and complex optics anymore. It's secure clouds and AI-driven engineering. This access is quite literally the operating system for the entire region's industrial nervous system. This whole paradigm shift is just perfectly captured by this thought. The old question was, who may buy the machines that make the chips? The new question is, who may use the AI systems that design, secure, optimize, and accelerate those machines? And we are seeing this play out right in front of us. Just recently, the United States restricted foreign access to Anthropic's Fable 5 and Mythos 5 models. That is a huge deal. It proves that export controls are no longer just about shipping physical crates of technology across borders. They are fiercely, directly targeting the intelligence layer. All right, let's look at the future in Section 4, 3 scenarios for Brainport. So how does this all play out? Well, there are 3 mini scenarios. First, you have the proactive scenario. Here, Brainport builds a trusted European AI stack around its physical tech. essentially becoming a highly secure strategic platform for industrial intelligence. They aren't totally isolated, but they definitely aren't completely dependent either. Next up is the adaptive scenario. In this one, Brainport stays strong but relies super heavily on American AI models. Now, this creates what you could call a permanent compliance tax, meaning companies are constantly having to navigate complex export rules and platform dependence. They survive, sure, and with good margins, but their room to maneuver really narrows. And finally, the reactive scenario. This one is much darker. Here, foreign governments actively restrict critical AI access. Brainport might remain technologically capable, but it becomes deeply geopolitically vulnerable. And the local suppliers, they just get squeezed out. The main takeaway here, your AI dependence absolutely dictates your global position.
Now, how does this affect people? Let's check out Section 5, the barbell labor market.
All of this geopolitical maneuvering creates what we call a barbell labor market. Picture a literal barbell in your head. At the top end, you have massive, soaring demand for AI engineers, systems architects, and cyber experts. At the bottom end, you still have incredibly high demand for operational, hands-on roles, logistics, maintenance, execution. Because at the end of the day, physical tech still absolutely needs human hands. But look at the middle. Roles that primarily just coordinate, monitor processes, or transfer information, they are getting completely squeezed by AI and automation. So you end up in this weird spot where Brainport could become richer as a whole, yet socially much more vulnerable at the same time, simply because that middle layer of jobs is disappearing.
Finally, bringing it all together in Section 6, pawn or strategic pivot.
So to make sure they aren't completely outmaneuvered on this new board, the Netherlands needs a robust industrial intelligence strategy that connects 5 really crucial domains. Yes, you absolutely need the traditional semiconductor equipment, but you must seamlessly combine it with advanced packaging, rock-solid secure AI access, and deep cyber resilience. And perhaps most importantly of all, the whole shebang, you really have to treat human capital as a matter of national security. You have to actively help local suppliers digitize before they're essentially forced to either merge or move away. Because without the right people leveraging secure, trusted AI, those amazing physical machines will simply never become a thriving, resilient ecosystem. Which leaves us with this final, absolutely critical question. The game board is no longer just made of physical machines and factories. It is made of intelligence, compute power, and control. A pawn simply waits for the board to move, just hoping for the best. But a strategic pivot? A pivot recognizes its own leverage and actually helps define the board itself. As global export controls shift aggressively from physical machines to the digital intelligence that runs them, will Brainport wait for the global superpowers to make their moves, or will it forge its own strategic agency on the road to 2030? Think about that as you process everything we've covered today. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, stay curious.